My name is Andrea Folsom. I am the communications coordinator for NRRA, and I'm really excited to be able to give this final presentation today. I have been working on this Recycle Right campaign since I joined NRRA last October, so it's taken up a lot of my brain space. So it's great to be able to finally share what we've learned. This presentation will especially be wonderful for folks who can actually see. For folks on the phone, I will do a lot of talking, but you might want to go back and watch the video afterwards because I tried to make this as full of images as possible. So we get asked two questions a lot. And I think you guys probably get the same two questions. How do we get folks to stop tossing trash into the recycling bins and contaminating otherwise good loads? And how can we get more people to start recycling in our towns or communities? And these are two questions that have been asked and answered a lot in larger Recycle Right campaigns that were really designed for cities and large areas that use zero sort or single stream recycling. Prior to our NRRA Recycle Right campaign, however, no such campaign had ever been made for source separated recycling communities. But last August 21, we were awarded a grant by the United States Department of Agriculture Rural Utilities Service to launch our own Recycle Right campaign. And this was aimed at helping small rural New Hampshire towns that have source separated recycling. So to teach residents how to recycle more and how to recycle better in order to reduce their solid waste stream. So why a Recycle Right campaign? So as you guys know, most of NRRA's municipal members are smaller rural communities who rely on us for a variety of assistance to manage recycling programs and reduced waste. So it made sense for us to design a resource with the unique aspects and challenges of source-separated recycling in mind. It also made sense for us to provide these services to rural communities in New Hampshire with the lowest income to make the valuable educational services available for free to communities that oftentimes can't afford. There's no room in your town budget for a communications person or someone who will focus just on recycling education when you're really working to make sure that even the basics are covered financially. A couple of additional benefits to our campaign included increasing both resident and local decision makers, so like your select board members, confidence in the environmental and financial benefits of waste reduction through recycling, improving safety for our solid waste operators by just letting people know what not to throw into recycling bins or into the garbage hoppers, and increasing waste diversion, just overall consistent with the New Hampshire hierarchy of waste management methods. So our campaign, Recycle Right campaigns can really be any length. They can be a week, they can be a month, but we decided to go big. So we went 4 months, a 16-week digital campaign, which is not for the faint of heart. We kicked off Earth Week 2022, so it was in April with our first post and our first event, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment. We received participation from over 25% of our target communities, which was great. And that was only the amount that I was able to document through finding posts that are shared on Facebook, or if I knew that people were putting stuff up at their transfer station. I was not able to account for anything that was copied and shared in newsletters or on websites because I'm not magic and cannot find that information. All right. So we had 3 main components of our Recycle Right campaign. in social media posts that were designed to be helpful for those who only looked at the image. But then we would also include a much fuller kind of educational component within the text. But if you didn't want to read the text, that was fine. You would still get the basic idea from the main image. We had several videos, so I believe we had 6 videos total. Those all included closed captioning and subtitles for individuals that were either hard of hearing or non-English speakers. And then we had 3 Ask Me Anything About Recycling events, which included a live panel of experts answering participant-submitted questions. And they were as broad as what is recycling, or what is the future of recycling, to as specific as can I recycle aluminum foil? So we shared all of this information in 3 main ways. We shared it on social media. We just stuck to Facebook and Instagram. We did not get fancy and try to do Twitter or LinkedIn or, the gabillion other social media channels that are out there. We felt that focusing really on 2 was the best idea. So you can see here that and these numbers even are now out of date, and I just pulled them earlier this week. So it says we had 698 followers on Facebook and 193 followers on Instagram. Those numbers are still increasing even though the campaign is over, which is wonderful. We had a total reach of over 62,000 people on Facebook and over 10,000 people on Instagram, which was wonderful. For folks who did not have access to social media or choose not to use it, we also had a Recycle Right email that was basically a digest of the posts that included the image, the text, and information on how to download and use them. And then finally, we created a whole new section of our website, the Recycle Right section. You'll find it in the main menu bar at the top. It just says Recycle Right. And you can click through and see videos. You can see posts by theme. And then coming very soon, really next week, we'll be putting up information or detailed instructions on how you can run your own Recycle Right campaign. And I've broken those down into much smaller chunks. I think that running a 4-month Recycle Right campaign is a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. And so we have smaller, 1 week or a couple of week campaigns that you can run depending on what you want to focus on. So it's a fire hose of information when it comes to recycling. And to try to navigate that, we really broke down the campaign into 4 main themes, and each week would more or less follow a similar pattern. So our week would start with recycling basics. This was really just about starting or maintaining or improving a recycling habit. Individual posts in a recycling habit didn't perform particularly well because they're sort of weird as just standalone pieces. But altogether, we felt that it was really important to have these as a set that can now be shared as a standalone campaign. So you can now run a whole campaign on setting up a recycling habit where the whole thing is already created for you. Of these pictures, I pulled out a few high-performing ones. And honestly, step 1, I just really love the picture of the guy talking on the really old cell phone. Of these, the bottom left, if you're not buying recycled, then you aren't fully recycling, was one of our most popular recycling basics posts. It reached nearly 3,000 people and was shared 24 times. So that one really resonated with folks. Day 2, we would have a recycling education post that really focused on both the why behind recycling, so giving residents a better understanding about the difference that their action or inaction makes, and the how of recycling unique. Questions ranged from our most popular post, which was how do I recycle batteries, which you can see on the top right, to how do I recycle paint, Our second most popular post was, I heard styrofoam is recyclable. Why can't I put it in my plastic recycling? And why can't I recycle plastic bags or film at the transfer station? Which I'm sure are all questions you have heard a million times. Just to give you an idea of the popularity of these posts, the styrofoam post reached nearly 4,000 people and was shared 26 times. How to recycle plastic bags reached nearly 3,500 people and was shared 31 times. And our plastics recycling quick guide, which is in the upper left, it reached over 4,000 people. It was shared 70 times, and we actually made it into a poster as well that can be printed out and posted wherever you would like. So day 3, we have our recycling mythbusters. So these were really designed to help break down barriers, either real or imagined, between residents and recycling, things that people are just holding on to, even if they're not true anymore. So posts tackled common misconceptions, such as how clean a container has to be before recycling it, whether or not you have to peel the plastic window off of your envelopes before tossing it in, and then confirming that, yes, size matters when it comes to recycling, which was incidentally one of our most popular posts overall in the campaign. So our Size Matters post was shared nearly 4,500 times and shared 21 times. I'm sorry, it reached 4,500 people. That would be a lot of shares. Our Rinse Out Your Bottles, which I don't think I posted up here. It was another really popular one, was shared 2,500 times. I'm sorry, reached 2,500 people and was shared 17 times. And our Wish Cycling, which you can see in the upper middle one, reached 2,600 people and was shared 31 times. So the shares really indicate to me that these were things that people liked, they felt others found them helpful, and they kept passing them along, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So the day 4 was really, I think Reagan will agree, some of our very favorite posts. So these were posts celebrating New Hampshire towns and their recycling wins. And they were really fun to put together. So we wanted to boost wins because we really want to encourage folks to keep doing what works and to do more of it, instead of shaming them or scolding them into recycling, which just doesn't work very well. So many of your towns have received our EIR, our environmental impact reports. So we would pull information from those, and we put those together using the EPA's WARM model. It's the waste reduction model. So we'd pull off some of the kind of highlights from those and then put them into a standalone post to share. And I'll talk a little bit more about the bit of advertising that we did, but we really wanted to make sure that folks who lived in these towns got to see these posts. So this is really where we put much of our advertising dollars to make sure that we could bypass, Facebook saying, no, I don't want people to see these, bypass those algorithms and really send them to folks who live in these specific towns. And because of that, these were our most popular posts, I think, both because we were able to target communities and because they just really resonated. So 4 of our top 10 posts in the entire campaign were the recycling wins posts. You can, sorry about that. You can see up here, Warner was a big one, shared many times. We had Bristol that was shared a ton. I think that was actually one of our most popular posts. Here we go. Here are my numbers. Jaffrey reached nearly 5,000 people and was shared 40 times. Lincoln reached nearly 4,500 people and was shared 15 times. So really, you are having posts reaching, in some cases, even more people than the number of residents who lived in the towns, which is really fun to see. Finally, day 5 were our Recycle Right videos, and I should have taken a different screenshot. So this was the easiest way for me to get a screenshot of all the videos, the 8 videos, not 6, that we had over the campaign. I pulled these though from our YouTube channel, which, as you can see, don't have tons of views on them. The place where we really saw thousands of views was on Facebook. So many of these same posts did extremely well on Facebook, getting many views. We recorded all 3 of our Ask Me Anything events. So 2 of those events were digital, and 1 was live at our recycling conference. And then we also had 3 standalone videos. So what happens when you recycle cardboard, what is source separated recycling, and then talking plastic recycling. We also did a standalone video for the Lee transfer station battery fire. We found that videos were actually very, very helpful because sometimes you can't put everything into a post. And for our Ask Me Anything events, I received feedback that for folks who are hard of hearing, it was really difficult to follow along sometimes. Sometimes sound quality would be a little off. So having the opportunity to have subtitles and closed captioning was really helpful for a lot of folks. It's also helpful to have something that's not text-based, something that you can just watch and you don't have to read anything. So the flip side of closed captioning. So I wanted to share, we'll see if it works, one of our videos with you. This was our source separated video, and this was one that was found to be particularly helpful. We received a lot of really great feedback about this. The reason why we really wanted to make sure to do both source separated videos as well as source separated posts is because for many of our targeted communities, it's the predominant method of recycling. We really wanted to make sure that folks understood that source separated recycling was something they should do, that it has a lot of positives to it, even if you do have to drive to your transfer station, and that really the expertise lies within our transfer station operators. Folks during our Ask Me Anything campaigns got a little annoyed with us saying over and over again, ask your transfer station operator, ask your transfer station operator. But hopefully they got the message that even though one community may, recycle mixed paper, another community might not. And there's a variety of reasons why that might be the case. So I wanted to go ahead. This video is it's under 2 minutes long, and play this for you. And hopefully you can hear it. If you can't hear it, maybe Reagan can just wave at me. What is source separated recycling? When you think about recycling, you probably think of curbside or single stream recycling, where all recyclable materials go into the same container, are picked up at your curb, and brought to a facility where machines and people separate the recycling before it is processed. In many small towns across New England, however, we have what is called source separated recycling. This means that town residents separate their own recycling into different containers at their local drop-off center, recycling facility, or transfer station. There's some great benefits to source separated recycling. Many source separated recyclables tend to be higher quality and more desirable, so they can be sold at a higher price. The sale of these recyclables can result in revenue to the town. They can also result in decreased costs, since the town did not need to pay for the materials to be put in a landfill or incinerator. Source separated recycling also does not rely as much on expensive sorting technology or manual labor, which can make it a less expensive recycling option for small towns. Like any recycling program, however, the most important piece is you. The more people in town who recycle, the better. More people recycling can mean increased revenue from the sale of recyclables or decreased costs from diverting materials from a landfill or incinerator, and oftentimes both, a win-win. If you have questions about your town's recycling program, contact your local recycling facility or transfer station. You can also sign up for our Recycle Right campaign, where we will be tackling all things recycling in New England so we can all recycle right. All right. Let me tell you, putting together a source-separated recycling video, you learn that source-separated recycling is actually a tongue twister if you see it enough times. So I alluded earlier in this presentation to our Ask Me Anything events, and we were really lucky to be joined by 3 recycling experts from New Hampshire. So we had Mark Morgan, Brian Patno, and Josh Whipple all joined Bonnie and Reagan on our panel that I got to moderate and sometimes gave little answers to. These 3 events were really fun. We had our first one in April, which was our most popular. It was the most highly attended event. As it turns out, nobody really wants to go online in the middle of August. So our August event did not have as many people join us live, but has now been viewed online several times. So folks they were able to send in a whole bunch of questions, and overall we received well over 100 questions for the 3 events. And our experts were able to answer nearly all of them, even if at the end they were kind of trying to hustle through the answers. Follow-up surveys rated the event very high. People really enjoyed the panel. They liked being able to hear answers to a lot of the nitty-gritty questions. But it also highlighted the need for ongoing recycling education. One individual said, "It made me feel overwhelmed. There are too many details to remember and too much inconsistency among transfer stations." And the answers to questions were location sensitive. What could be recycled depended on what markets your own community could access, which it's all information I think that many of us already know, but it really highlights the difficulty for residents sometimes when it comes to recycling. I also touched a little bit on advertising. So as I mentioned, this was a grant-supported endeavor, and part of that grant did include money for advertising, which was great. And when I say advertising, all I really mean is taking posts on Facebook and Instagram and going past the algorithm so that it can actually get in front of people. There is so much competition on those social media sites that it's really hard sometimes for things like recycling education to get to the folks who would most benefit from it. We didn't actually have to spend very much on individual posts. So usually we spent between $15 to $35 to boost a post for a 10-day period. And I was really able to pinpoint who I wanted these posts to go to. So our town's recycling wins, I would boost it just to that town and maybe like a 10-mile radius. For some of our recycling education posts, I would boost it really to the entire state with a little bit of spillover into Maine, Vermont, Massachusetts. So I think what this means is, over 4 months as an organization, we spent $853, which is, a lot of money. I think, though, smaller towns would be able to also get a lot of bang for a lot less bucks. So if you even had $50, you would really be able to see the benefit of pushing posts to your residents. You can see that we were able to reach over 34,000 additional people just by boosting posts who wouldn't have seen what we were putting out otherwise. All right, so lessons learned and unanticipated outcomes. The first lesson that we learned is that we needed to stay flexible. I created a lot of the Recycle Right campaign before launch, but I didn't create all of it because I knew that life happens. I think the best example is our batteries post. So the original "How do I dispose of batteries" post was popular, very popular. It reached over 7,000 people on its own. After it was posted, I had a transfer station operator reach out and say, "Hey, that would be a really great poster that we would like to put up. Can you make that happen?" So we did. We turned it into a poster. It's an 18 by 24. It can be printed black and white or in color. And we shared that. We shared that on Facebook and Instagram. We shared that in our emails and on our website. A few weeks later, after these posts, unfortunately, a fire broke out at a New Hampshire transfer station in Lee because someone chucked a lithium-ion battery into one of the hoppers, and it caught on fire. Luckily, they were able to spot it really quickly and take care of it, and we got permission from them to turn some of their footage into an educational video. And, so we created that, we reshared the video, we reshared the post and the poster. It had an entire news post written about it with specific information for residents and operators. And ultimately, this post and this information reached over 25,000 people. So that's just, I think, one example of staying flexible and seeing how things that happen in real life can really build on what you already have planned in your Recycle Right campaign. The second thing we learned was how helpful email was. So these emails that people received were monsters. They were full of information, but people really liked them. It was just a digest of the past few weeks, but we did not lose any members. Anyone who signed up for our emails, nobody unsubscribed for the entire campaign, which is practically unheard of. I know I unsubscribe from newsletters all the time. And so it was great to see that folks stuck around for our fire hose of Recycle Right information coming into their inbox. Finally, the third thing that we learned is that even though our world is very technological, not everything is digital. And there are a lot of communities in New Hampshire that just don't have access to internet as a standard. So it's either spotty internet or broadband, they just don't have access to broadband internet. We would have towns that maybe don't have like a town website. They don't have any kind of Facebook presence. And so there was really no way for us to get digital information to many of our target communities because there was just no internet access for us to get in there. And it was difficult and frustrating to see because that was exactly who we designed the campaign for. And it really just highlights that the lack of infrastructure, it just makes it even more difficult for already underserved communities to access recycling and solid waste management education for residents. And it really speaks to the need of having organizations such as NRRA, where we can provide technical assistance by having, Bonnie go out to transfer stations or be on the phone to answer questions. You can't just rely on posting things on social media or emails to get the information to where it needs to go. I'm almost done, I swear. Thank you all for listening. I did mention that we had several Recycle Right printables. These were all requests that I got over the course of the campaign. So turning posts or other information into, we have two posters. So the How Do I Recycle Batteries is a poster, a plastics recycling quick guide is a poster, and then the aluminum is actually a small flyer. And all of those are now available on our website to download so that you can share them with your community. So finally, the beauty of a Recycle Right campaign is that there's really no way to do it. You can do it however works best for your community, whether you're sharing information for a week or a month. We've really found that ongoing recycling education, it can both increase recycling participation and decrease recycling contamination. But the trick is you have to just keep doing it, which I like to call screaming into the void. So you might have answered that recycling question 100 times. Unfortunately, you're going to have to keep answering that recycling question. But our hope with the Recycle Right campaign is that we've answered some of those questions and you can just send people our way or share the post that they keep asking about. So that's it. The whole point of our campaign was to recycle more, recycle better, and recycle right. As I said, you can find our whole campaign on our website. And if anyone has any questions, I am happy. I'm going to end this and my sharing. And you can see me again.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Even though I followed along the campaign as it went, I saw some things that I hadn't seen before. So that was really fantastic. So we did have one question come in from Megan in Guilford, and she asked if we can have a meeting or a class on how to use the WARM model with our recycling data. And I could actually touch on that one. So as a reminder, the WARM model, it's the EPA's, oh, well, now I don't remember what it stands for, but basically it's a way to take the pounds or tonnage of what your community has recycled and then translate that into sort of clear examples of how you're avoiding CO2 emissions and what type of environmental benefit comes from recycling, to really be able to give residents a tangible example of that. And I will point out that for all NRRA member communities who participate in our cooperative marketing programs, we actually provide each community an activity report, which is a detailed summary of all of your recycling with NRRA each year. We provide that on an annual basis. And then we also create for you an environmental impact report using this EPA WARM model information. And we know that a number of our communities like to use that report and put it in their annual report for their towns and share it with their residents, because it is a nice way to demonstrate the real tangible benefits of recycling, in addition to some of the financial benefits. Now, of course, if your community doesn't use NRRA for all of your recyclables, then of course your report wouldn't be complete. And so I could see why you might want to therefore create your own version yourself. So we actually looked into whether under this grant we could update our website to create an easy to use calculator for communities to plug in their own information and create their own report. And I will tell you that was going to cost a vast amount of money that was beyond what we had budgeted in this grant. So it's something that we were already thinking about and that we wanted to provide to you all. I would say that at some point in the future, we could certainly look into perhaps doing a class on how to use that information yourself. It is a bit complicated. I will say we have a very complex set of spreadsheets and a staff member who had really spent a lot of time fine-tuning that complex spreadsheet so that we could get the most up-to-date information from the EPA. But I'll definitely keep that in mind, Megan, and see if there's a way that we might be able to do that in the future for people who want to dig a little bit deeper beyond what we already provide on an annual basis to our members.
Excellent. Are there any other questions? I like how I talk about a fire hose and then I talk at you guys for a half an hour, which is a lot.
I just wanted to jump in and say I thought you did a fantastic job with the whole campaign. I loved it. The posts were just so simple and easy to read. And I love that it's all on the website for us now, because I feel like I only shared a couple, and I want to go back and I'm going to look at them and share them from time to time, just because it's like I'm doing other posts about DPW as well. But like there's so much great stuff on here that I just want to go back and find ones and repost. So I love that they're all up there and easy for people. And I mean, you made it so easy. You made it where you can click on them and then just hit share, or you can download the image. I mean, you made it so simple and easy for everybody. So I love that. And I appreciate all the time you put into it. The videos were fantastic and well made. I mean, you just did a great job. So, so well done. And thank you so much. I think all the towns will benefit from, this information that you put up here. And again, not just what you did this summer, but we can benefit, going forward because you've left it all there for us to be able to utilize. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. And the instructions are also going to be really easy. It's going to be a PDF with links that you can just click it and it'll bring you exactly to where you need. It'll all be set out so you can do nitty gritty, you can do recycling habit, you can do cardboard focused, whatever you want. So I appreciate it. All right, that's it from me.
Well, thank you so much, Andrea. We'll let you go. Appreciate you joining us.
Awesome. Oops. Thank you all so much. Have a good day.